Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. I have a new quote for my quotes A through Z spreadsheet for row 339, Revelation Night. And this comes from Elder Ronald A. Rasband of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, and it's from this last general conference. So I have this row because there's a bunch of stories and quotes having to do with receiving revelation at night, not just for general authorities, but for us individually. And so this is something that I wanted to do a study into and just collect the quotes that I come across. So the first one comes from Brigham Young, and then the most recent one from Elder Rasband. So I want to read his story that he shares in General Conference, and then review some of the other quotes that I have for this row. If you want to access my spreadsheets, you can do that anytime. The link is in the description box of each video. They're best viewed on a desktop or a laptop rather than a tablet or a smartphone, because you can double click on the cells and then it'll show you the full contents of the cell. So I would recommend a desktop or a laptop. Okay, so I'm going to go to the church website for this. The name of the talk is Words Matter. This is the April 2024 General Conference, Elder Rasband. Okay, toward the middle of his talk, he says, as one of 15 prophets, seers, and revelators sustained yesterday by our worldwide church, I want to share with you one of my experiences sustaining the prophet and embracing his words. It was for me much like the prophet Jacob, who recounted, I had heard the voice of the Lord speaking unto me in very word. Okay, so he had one of these experiences, and it's at nighttime. Here's a picture of him with a replica Christus statue. And then he continues, last October, my wife, Melanie, and I were in Bangkok, Thailand, as I was preparing to dedicate what would be the church's 185th temple. For me, the assignment was both surreal and humbling. This was the first temple on the Southeast Asia Peninsula. It was masterfully designed, a 6-story, 9-spired structure, fitly framed to be a house of the Lord. For months, I had contemplated the dedication. What had settled in my soul, in my mind, was that the country and the temple had been cradled in the arms of prophets and apostles. President Thomas S. Monson had announced the temple, and President Nelson the dedication. I had prepared the dedicatory prayer months earlier. Those sacred words had been translated into 12 languages. We were ready, or so I thought. The night before the dedication, okay? The night before, I was awakened from my sleep with an unsettled, urgent feeling about the dedicatory prayer. I tried to set aside the prompting, thinking the prayer was in place. And let me just stop right here. I think that's really interesting that, even an apostle, receives like these little whisperings of the Spirit in, because it's like nighttime, or it's like maybe an inconvenient time, or you think everything's good to go. You just kind of like, no, everything's fine. So it can happen to the best of us, but let's learn from his experience. So I tried to set aside the prompting, thinking the prayer was in place, but the Spirit would not leave me alone. I sensed certain words were missing, and by divine design, they came to me in revelation. And I inserted these words in the prayer near the end. Quote, may we think celestial, letting thy Spirit prevail in our lives, and strive to be peacemakers always. End quote. The Lord was reminding me to heed the words of our living prophet, think celestial, which, by the way, that was his talk in the October 2024 General Conference. Let the Spirit prevail, strive to be peacemakers. And that was another one of his main talks. I can't remember which conference. I want to say it was the April 2024 General Conference, Peacemakers Needed. But anyway, words of the prophet matter to the Lord and to us. So it's interesting, we can't know the full effects of him adding those words to the dedicatory prayer. We know that it's having an effect right now. Listening to this in General Conference, him telling the entire church, me making a YouTube video about it. But you have to wonder what effect that may have had as he was actually giving the dedicatory prayer. Like, what would have happened if he had not said those words? It probably affected some people. It probably reminded them of what President Nelson had said, because what President Nelson is saying is the words of the Lord, because whether it's the Lord or his servants, it's the same. We learn that in Doctrine and Covenants. And so, those are words for the church right now. And I don't know, but and it could go on into the future for people that later read the dedicatory prayer and then they see that part. So we can't know the full implications or reasons why he received this prompting, but it was important enough to where the Spirit woke him up and wouldn't let him alone. It kept prompting him, no, please add this to the prayer. So it was important for some reason. And then he shares this in General Conference. So, and there's the temple right there. I have to remind myself, I think I looked into it. I think that this, like the Manhattan Temple, the Manhattan, New York Temple, and others, I think it is a multi-purpose building. I'd have to double check. I have a spreadsheet for that, but I can't remember. Okay, anyway, so this is the most recent quote that I have on my spreadsheet and for this row. Let's review just a few of the other ones that I have on here. The ones that I have highlighted in yellow are kind of like the more key quotes, I think, when trying to demonstrate this principle of nighttime revelation. So this one is Brigham Young in Journal of Discourses, Volume 1, pages 351 to 352. He has caused us to forget everything we once knew before our spirits entered within this veil of flesh. For instance, it is like this. When we lie down to sleep, our minds are often as bright and active as the mind of an angel. At least they are as active as when our bodies are awake. They will range over the earth, visit distant friends, and, for aught we know, the planets, and accomplish great feats. Do that which will enhance our happiness, increase to us every enjoyment of life, and prepare us for celestial glory. But when we wake in the morning, it is all gone from us. We have forgotten it. This illustration will explain in part the nature of the veil, which is over the inhabitants of the earth. They have forgotten they have forgotten that they once knew. This is right. Were it different, where would be the trial of our faith? In a word, be it so. It is as it should be. So I'm just kind of blown away that he's talking about sleep and alluding to, dreaming and potentially other things going on that maybe we don't know about, but how sleep, dreaming, and all this stuff, he says that this is what it does. It accomplishes great feats. It enhances our happiness, increases our every enjoyment of life, and prepares us for the celestial glory. So I'm not sure that we ever really think about that when we're sleeping. Like afterwards, we don't think, oh yeah, that helped me prepare myself for celestial glory. But it seems that's one of the things that it does. And it makes sense because I think most people at one point or another will have a dream or wake up with an idea that is for the benefit of your spiritual life and your exaltation. Maybe, or for somebody else, maybe when it comes to like family history work and stuff like that. Speaking of which, the next quote, this is by President James E. Faust, second counselor in the first presidency. Dear are the sheep that have wandered, from the April 2003 General Conference. I believe there is a strong familial pull as the influence of beloved ancestors continue with us from the other side of the veil. Later on in the talk, as we get older, the pull from our parents and grandparents on the other side of the veil becomes stronger. It is a sweet experience when they visit us in our dreams. So he's just saying that as though that's something that happens. And I want to tell you this. I think that has happened with me because my dad passed away back in 2015. It's when I was still in the Army. And I have had a couple dreams that feel like they weren't just dreams, but it was like like communicating pertinent information to me, you know. Um, I guess that's all I'm going to say. Like it's nothing like really, really deep or profound, but just like it's personal. And I feel like there's a couple dreams that in which that was the case. So I feel like I have a testimony of that. Okay. And then we have Elder Richard G. Scott of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, how to obtain revelation and inspiration for your personal life from the April 2012 General Conference. I love this one. I love it because I think that revelation is so important, like personal revelation, I mean, because that's all that you and I receive is personal revelation. We don't receive inspiration or revelation for the world or for the church. That's the prophet's runway, like Elder Renlund said. But there are things that we can do to increase our own personal revelation. Sometimes I think we're just like, oh yeah, just if I live righteously, then I pay attention to it, then I'll receive revelation. And that's true, but there's more. There's more that you can do to receive more personal revelation. Okay, so this is what he says. There are some practical principles that enhance revelation. First, yielding to emotions such as anger or hurt or defensiveness will drive away the Holy Ghost. Those emotions must be eliminated, or our chance for receiving revelation is slight. So we have to do some inner work and be like, am I angry, hurt, defensive about something? Because that's going to affect my personal revelation. Another principle is to be cautious with humor. Loud, inappropriate humor will offend the spirit. A good sense of humor helps revelation. Loud laughter does not. A sense of humor is an escape valve for the pressures of life. Another enemy to revelation comes from exaggeration or loudness in what is stated. Careful, quiet speech will favor the receipt of revelation. I love that. You know, you see people that exaggerate things, they're loud, and you know, none of us are perfect, but I feel like you can see why that would be the case. It's like there's something going on inside that person. And I don't know, like sometimes we get excited and stuff. I don't think that's what he's talking about. I think there's people that just, they're not in tune. They're not in tune with the spirit. I don't know that I can explain that anymore, but let me know if you know what I mean, or if you can elaborate on that. Okay, on the other hand, spiritual communication can be enhanced by good health practices. Okay, so now we're talking about like physical things, your body. Exercise, reasonable amounts of sleep, and good eating habits increase our capacity to receive and understand revelation. We will live for our appointed lifespan. However, we can improve both the quality of our service and our well-being by making careful, appropriate choices. It is important that our daily activities do not distract us from listening to the Spirit. Revelation can also be given in a dream when there is an almost imperceptible transition from sleep to wakefulness. If you strive to capture the content immediately, you can record great detail, but otherwise it fades rapidly. Inspired communication in the night is generally accompanied by a sacred feeling for the entire experience. The Lord uses individuals for whom we have great respect to teach us truths in a dream because we trust them and will listen to their counsel. It is the Lord doing the teaching through the Holy Ghost. However, he may in a dream make it both easier to understand and more likely to touch our hearts by teaching us through someone we love and respect. When it is for the Lord's purposes, he can bring anything to our remembrance. That should not weaken our determination to record impressions of the Spirit. Inspiration carefully recorded shows God that his communications are sacred to us. Recording will also enhance our ability to recall revelation. Such recording of direction of the Spirit should be protected from loss or intrusion by others. You know, there was a time, I think it was last year, when I was doing like a series of videos about dreams and revelation that comes through dreams and stuff like that, where we covered this quote and other things. And I really do think that it's important to record dreams. It's been said, I think by, Oh, I don't know if it was Wilford Woodruff or somebody else. Yeah, I think it was Wilford Woodruff. Wilford Woodruff had a bunch of dreams. And actually, I have some of them recorded here. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4 different things from Wilford Woodruff. And he said that, not every dream means something, but I think a lot of them do. Maybe not every one, but a lot of them do. And they come to us a lot of times with like a symbolic language. Like you have information that's compressed into a symbol, whether it's like a person or a place or whatever. And then when you think about the dream, you start to kind of realize the connections and you start to unpack the compressed information, just like the temple. That's the handy thing about symbols. And so I think it's really important to record dreams as well as insights and inspiration that you receive. And I'm starting to think, I used to like just like send myself an email, and then have like a folder for my dreams and revelations, which, that kind of worked. But after doing this channel and doing these spreadsheets, I feel like maybe the best way is to do a spreadsheet, like a personal spreadsheet, a private spreadsheet, because then you can put it all in chronological order and easily see everything on the same page. I mean, there's like different ways that you can do it. You just have to do what's best for you. A lot of people keep journals, like a physical journal. I'm not a big fan of writing like with like my hands. I feel like I don't know, it's kind of cumbersome, but some of you guys like to write. So, but for me, and maybe this can give you some inspiration, maybe doing a spreadsheet or even just like a Word document. But for me, I think a spreadsheet. I like keeping everything all in order like this. Okay, the next one. This is President Gordon B. Hinckley. I did a video about this recently. This is 11 fascinating images of Latter-day Saint artifacts in the Deseret News, April 1st, 2021. I might as well just pull this up. But I did a video about this. Sorry, I wasn't thinking about doing this, but so this is a story about President Hinckley and this drawing. He woke up in the night and had this idea. He had revelation that the Hong Kong temple should be patterned this way. That this is how it should be laid out by each floor. Okay, so he says, or this is the article. In July 1992, President Gordon B. Hinckley was in Asia to select a site for the Hong Kong China Temple. After a discouraging day of not finding a site he felt good about, President Hinckley returned to his hotel and went to sleep. Between 2 and 3 a.m., inspiration came in a dream. He felt directed to use property already owned by the church to build a multi-purpose structure. He found paper and sketched a design. Quote, "If ever in my life I felt inspiration of the Lord, it was this building," President Hinckley later said. And it makes sense because that pattern or this idea of multi-purpose temple buildings has been used in a few other places. There's a more detailed account here, but I'm not going to read that right now. Okay, let's go to Sister Nelson. I've read this about 1 billion times. This is from a YouTube video on the Church News YouTube channel. My witness, Sister Winnie Nelson. I'm a witness by being present, and I'm a witness by being absent that the Lord indeed instructs his prophet. Sometimes the Lord has me stay close to my husband when he is receiving instructions. My husband will say during the night, "Okay, dear, it's happening." I just remain quiet, and then soon he's sitting up at the side of the bed writing. The number of nighttime messages to him since becoming president of the church has increased exponentially. It's incredible. See, you see that? He probably already received a lot being an apostle, but then he becomes president of the church, and the nighttime messages increased exponentially. Nighttime. It was an early Saturday morning, and I could feel I was supposed to get out of bed. I wasn't finished sleeping. I didn't want to get out of bed, but I could feel move out of bed now. So I went down and did some family history research. 2 hours later, my husband emerged from our bedroom and said, "Wendy, you won't believe what's been happening for 2 hours. The Lord has given me detailed instruction about a process I am to follow." Sometimes it's just 2 lines. I never look at it. He'll just hold it up and show me. I just think those are private messages to him, and I would never look. Okay. And then she said, this is an article in Church News. President Nelson urges Samoan members to be strong facing persecution and attacks of the adversary. May 19th, 2019. Sister Wendy Nelson said her husband often receives inspiration for the direction of the church during the night and gets up to take notes. Just this past week, she said, the inspiration was flowing so rapidly during those early morning hours that he went to the office in our home and wrote for 3 hours. So that sounds pretty intense. I'll do this last one. I'm not going to read the Sherry Do one. It has a little bit more detail, but this is President Nelson himself on the church's inspiration blog, November 20th, 2020. It's the day that the Give Thanks or the hashtag Give Thanks video was put out. All right, he says, have you ever had the experience of waking up in the middle of the night with a distinct thought or impression? Since beginning my ministry as the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I've had my share of unexpected awakenings. Yeah, your wife has told us. Many of these have proven to be special and sacred moments from God. I want to share one such experience related to the special video message that was released today, November 20th, 2020. Notice how he puts the date in there because that's part of what he received. Details having to do with the date, the time, the length of the video. Very specific. And it had to do with numbers. Okay. A few weeks ago, I woke in the middle of the night with the thought that I should offer a prayer of gratitude to God for all of his children around the globe. Thoughts flooded my mind of all the things for which we should be grateful and how expressing that gratitude could become a healing spirit in our lives. As the inspiration came, specific details, including when and how I should share this message came to my mind and heart. The video message shared today was not one that came by chance. It is one that came from heaven. And it turns out, according to Sherry Do, that this single video, it reached the most number of people that any other church communication had reached. It dwarfed everything else. And she was talking about how the experts never would have recommended the day or the time or the length of the video, but they followed President Nelson's instructions, and then it was like a record-breaking video. It reached the most number of people like outside the church. Okay, so that's all I have. You can check out the rest of what I didn't read yourself. The link for my spreadsheet is in the description box of each video. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people looking at this right now as I'm recording this. They just show up anonymous though. Anonymous mink, anonymous koala, armadillo, rhino, and tiger. But yeah, I love putting this thing together. It's so fun. I would encourage you to do the same thing. Feel free to copy anything that you want to. You can copy the entire thing. It's not like I have a copyright to this stuff. This is just my personal study. I'm sharing it with you. And I would encourage you to collect things so that you can go back and refer to them later and be able to quickly and easily find it for when questions come up from friends or family, or if you're preparing a talk, maybe, you can refer back to this, to your own stuff. So, all right, well, that's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.